Yeah, hi. Good morning, everybody. Nice to see so many people joining us today. And we hope that you'll like to hear about the Enteral portal. We are very excited about this, and it has been a while coming that we've been working on this, and we think it'll make providers and dispensers experience with Enteral approvals much better. So I'm going to get this out of the way now because yesterday I keep forgetting of it. I'm the Director of the Bureau of Medical Review, and Michelle Pascarella is our manager who's been working on the portal. And I'm going to get it out of the way right now that I'm going to call her Mickey. We call Michelle Mickey all the time. So I can't seem to get Michelle right all the time. So when you hear me talk about Mickey Pascarella, that's Michelle. That's our other presenter. She will take you to the portal part of this today. So next slide, please. So this is just our agenda today. Again, we're going to start with just a brief overview of how what the coverage is for enteral formulas. Also, the current process and the overview of the process of how the approvals for enteral formulas work. Also just a little bit about when you have to use a paper prior approval or an EPASIS prior approval for enteral formulas when the automated systems aren't going to be able to approve what you need. For probably 90 to 95% of the enteral approvals, you can use the automated system, but there still is a small percentage of approval that will need to be done through paper. And then we're going to turn over to Mickey, and we're going to get a walkthrough of the portal and the various screens. This presentation, it will be available after the seminars, probably sometime next week. We'll post it up there. To answer that question ahead of time. And then we will have a bunch of time for actual questions and answers, and there's a resource guide at the end of this. So that's our general outline for today. So again, we have developed a enteral authorization web-based portal for the Medicaid program. It will probably be available sometime next week. We're shooting for early next week. You'll see a button later. We'll put an announcement for it, and there's a button on the eMedNY website. Right now it says coming soon, but as soon as you see that coming soon go away, that means the portal can be used. Click on the button and give it a try. We do want to stress that we are not getting rid of the IVR system, the voice system. It will still be available for those of you who like that system and manage that system. Great, we're keeping it there for you. But we think once you see the web portal, you'll find out that the web portal is a much easier system to use. These two systems will work interchangeably, so that if a prescriber puts the medical information into the IVR and gets a PA number through that, and the dispensing provider, the DME or the pharmacy, wants to use the web portal, the information will be there and they can use the web portal. And that can go vice versa too, that if somebody puts information into the web portal and the other party wants to use the IVR, they'll be able to access the information. So we did make them interoperably interchangeable. And we do want to stress that at this time, there are no changes being made to the enteral coverage, formula coverage. So that will stay the same. So just a brief overview of the manuals. The enteral therapy information can be found in section 4.2 of the DME POS manual. That's the manual for all of the durable medical equipment, prosthetics, orthotics, and supplies. The enteral formulas, as we all know, are the B codes. We call them grouped together, the B codes. They all do require authorization through the portal or the IVR. In the manual, you'll see an asterisk by the code that indicates that it requires the portal approval. The ordering provider will request the prior authorization. That's the doctor, nurse practitioner, or other health professional who was able to order enteral formulas. Will place that authorization on the fiscal order, And then the dispensing provider, which would be the DME dealer, the pharmacy, will activate the prior authorization by verifying and submitting the Enteral B code into the system. So it is a two-part checks and balance system to make sure that each party is getting the information they need and that all the information is correct. Okay, so now just a short overview of the coverage criteria. Again, enteral formula is a defined benefit, and you can find the definition of enteral formula coverage in regulation at 18 YCRR 505G, 505.5G. That really is the statutory authority we have for the enteral coverage. Again, it's a defined benefit in the sense that it quote unquote defines when enterals are available for dispensing. And the defined benefit includes the coverage for members who are fed via a tube, a variety of different types of tube feeds, either nasogastric or gastronomy, or other types of tube feedings. Members with inborn metabolic disorders are eligible for enteral formula, and that would be members who have PKU or maple sugar urine disease. These are metabolic disorders where a certain amino acid or other substance needs to be taken out of a formula to prevent progression of a disease state. Children up to 21 years of age who require liquid oral nutritional therapy when there's diagnosis of a condition where caloric and dietary nutrients of food cannot be absorbed and metabolized. And an example of that would be short bowel syndrome. That's probably the most common example. And then we also do offer some adult coverage for people who have an HIV infection, AIDS, or other HIV-related illness or other disease and are orally fed and meet the following conditions: that they have a BMI under 18.5. They can receive up to 1,000 calories per day. So again, you know, the BMI is an underweight signifier that we need to supplement calories to either maintain that weight or try to increase that weight. And if the BMI is between 18 and 22, 18.5 and 22, and there's an unintentional weight loss of 5% or more in a 6-month period, we will allow supplementation of up to 1,000 calories a day. And also, if they're orally fed and have a permanent structure that limits and prevents the chewing of food, and a placement of feeding tube is medically contraindicated, we will also allow enteral formula to be prescribed and reimbursed. Okay, so this is just an overview, a high-level overview of how the enteral authorizations work. So the prescriber part, which is as I said, your medical professional, a doctor, a nurse practitioner, or other health professional who is allowed to prescribe enteral formulas, they will go to the portal or the telephonic IVR to request the authorization. Once into one of those systems, they will be asked to answer member-specific questions regarding medical criteria, such as, you know, a feeding tube or inborn metabolic disease, or any of those other things that are in the policies that we just discussed briefly before. If criteria are met, then they will get a prior authorization number. And that number is written onto the fiscal order, which is shared with the dispensing provider. Again, it may be written on a physical piece of paper. It may be placed into an electronic system that transfers the order to a pharmacy or a DME dealer through, electronic order transfer. It's just that the dispensing provider can't continue with their part of the process unless they have that PA number from the ordering provider. Again, for ease of use, there is a worksheet that is in the there's a link into the manual, and I think there's a link at the end of this presentation that if you choose to use it, it follows the IVR and the web portal pretty much step by step. You can write down the information so you have it, and it sometimes can be help for new people who are not used to the portals to use to make sure they have all the information before they start. So once the prescriber has the prior approval number, then that goes to the dispenser. The dispensing provider can be a variety of people. It could be a pharmacy, it could be a medical supply dealer, or a DME supplier. They go into the portal or the IVR to access and activate the authorization. So they enter some information into the portal that will identify the member and the prior authorization number, and the dispensing provider will enter the HCPCS code that matches the formula that's found on the fiscal order. So the fiscal order will have the name of the formula, and it's up to the dispensing provider to code that formula. So if the code matches the information that is entered by the medical provider, the medical information, the authorization will be activated and available for claims processing. That's more of if someone has entered inborn metabolic, we want to make sure that the code is that's being entered is one that is for inborn metabolic formulas. So it's kind of like a little bit double check there to make sure that the proper coding is happening. Again, the same as with the providers, there is a dispenser worksheet. Again, if you want to use that, that's a tool that's for your use. It's not mandatory, but again, as I said, for people who are new to the Enteral system, it may be helpful to use that form to prepare for the IVR and web portal. Okay, and as I said, probably about 95% of the time, you should be able to get an automated authorization through the portal, but there are occasions when you're not going to be able to. And I'm going to start by talking about the red sentences here, that when you can't use the automated Enteral system, you have to do one of two other ways. You have to use the paper prior approval request form, which is an e-bendy form, and you would fill that out and attach the medical supporting documentation for the Enteral formula to that and mail that into our fiscal agent partner, GDIT, for processing. Or you can go to ePaces, which is an electronic system for claims submission and for PA submission. So you can go into the prior approval part of ePaces and submit the request and actually upload the supporting documents at that time. So either way is acceptable. The most important thing is that you have to include medical justification for the request when you put in a prior approval submission. So now back to the times when you would need to do this. So, paper or ePaces submissions would have to come into us if you're requesting more calories per day than the policy will allow. We do review these requests for medical necessity and make a determination. Also, if you have an adult requires supplemental nutrition between the BMI of 18 and 22 that don't meet the conditions in the policy, we can review those for exceptions. Also, an adult with a BMI under 18.5 who requires 3 authorizations in a year. This is because we would expect, if the member is being supplemented for 2 authorizations, that there should be some improvement in the weight and possibly to come out of the BMI requirement. So we just want to see what the reason is of why you need another authorization. Any adult with a permanent structure limitation would require an authorization. And also, when a new dispensing provider must dispense the product. So if the member is getting enteral formulas from one provider, but they decide to change to another provider closer to their house, we have to do the prior approvals. And for us to get the information, we need to submit it through prior approval. It's just a more of a, like, hey, this provider is closer to the house, please have the enterals go to here. And then we end date the first approval, and we put the new approval up for the provider. Okay, so that's really an overview of the process and of the policies and the exceptions. We will now turn it over to Mickey, and Mickey is going to guide you through the portal screens. Again, once she's finished with that, we will have plenty of time for questions. Mickey, it's all yours.
Thank you, Tom. And thank you, everyone, for joining our training today. We've been working on the portal for a really long time, so we hope that you have a great experience whenever you're using this. Let's begin our presentation. To get to the portal, you can type in the web address, Medicaid Enteral portal.health.ny.gov, or you can go to emedne.org's homepage and locate this button titled Enteral Web Portal. When you click on this button, it will bring you directly to the portal sign-in page. And this is what the sign-in page looks like. We have a few options here on the sign-in page. We can log in when you already have an established account. You can register, and that would be used to create a new account. Or you can reset your password if you're having issues with your password, forgetting it, or you've locked yourself out of the portal after multiple attempts. You would use reset password here. For this presentation, we're going to click on register and create a new account. So the first thing we'll do is we're going to choose a provider type, prescriber or dispenser, and then we'll enter the NPI number. And of course, your first and last name. And then you'll hit continue. And that will bring us to the multi-factor authentication setup. Here you will be required to enter your email and hit send confirmation email. You'll check your email and you will receive a 6-digit code. Take that code and enter it here into this screen, and then you'll hit continue. The next part of the multi-factor authentication setup, you will be required to enter your mobile number here and hit send confirmation text. You will again receive a 6-digit code. You'll take that code and enter it on this screen and hit confirm. That completes the multi-factor authentication part. And now we'll just need to create a password. Your password must be 14 characters long, contain 1 letter, 1 number, and 1 special character. And you'll complete your registration. And that's how easy it is to create an account in the portal. Some tips. Only 1 account can be set up per NPI number. Only 1 email and only 1 phone number can be associated with an NPI number for multi-factor authentication. After the initial account setup, logging in will simply require an email and a password. A confirmation code will be sent, either email or text, you will choose. And when a dispensing provider is creating an account, they will be asked for their category of service when registering. When using the portal as a prescriber, you'll have 4 options. You can request a prior authorization, cancel a prior authorization, perform an authorization inquiry, and get some information about Medicaid enteral formula coverage. We're going to start with requesting a prior authorization. Here you will be asked to enter the member's Medicaid ID number. That's always 2 letters, 5 numbers, and 1 letter. And then the next part, you'll be asked to enter the member's date of birth. Now, depending on your computer settings, the portal may not accept entries by using copy and paste. We recommend that you type the information directly into the required fields, and you'll have a much smoother experience. You can hit continue here, and it'll bring you to your next screen. And now you'll be asked to choose the mode of administration. Is it feeding tube or oral administration? And is the enteral formula being prescribed for an inborn metabolic disease? Yes or no? If we answered yes to the inborn metabolic disease question and hit continue, it will bring you to this next screen. In this screen, you'll need to enter the diagnosis code related to the inborn metabolic disease. Please leave out the decimal point when you're putting in the diagnosis code. And you'll hit continue. And you'll be asked, are you prescribing more than 1 enteral formula? Yes or no? And then you'll be required to enter the total number of calories being prescribed per day for this formula. And you'll hit continue. Enter the total number of refills here. And when you hit continue this time, you'll receive this screen that shows that the process has been successful, and it will issue you a PA number. You'll write down that PA number, and you have now completed your PA request. Next screen. When previously you were asked to choose a mode of administration, feeding tube or oral, I want to show you when you choose the oral administration and you choose no to inborn metabolic disease, the screen that you will receive next. Again, are you prescribing more than 1 enteral formula? Yes or no? And then you'll enter the total number of calories being prescribed per day for the formula, and you'll hit continue. and of course the number of refills that you are prescribing. But this time, you're going to have to enter the patient's height in inches and the patient's weight in pounds. And you'll hit continue. Now you will be required to answer some questions about the member's medical condition. So these are just yes or no answers. And then you'll hit continue. And you'll need to confirm that there is medical evidence in the record to support this request. Then a reminder is received to write the diagnosis code on the script. And it's as easy as that. You will receive a confirmation screen that your process has been successful, and you will receive your prior authorization number. Next screen. Now I would like to show you the second option as a prescriber, which would be cancel a prior authorization. Once a prior authorization has been activated, it is no longer able to be canceled in the portal. Now, this is a very quick, easy process. We'll just enter the member's Medicaid identification number here, enter the member's date of birth here, and click continue. And then you'll enter the prior authorization number that you would like to cancel. And it's that easy. You'll receive the confirmation that the PA has been canceled successfully. I hope everyone sees how fast that is. This is going to be much more efficient to use in the offices. And our third option will be to perform an authorization inquiry to get some information about the member's enteral product approvals. Next. Simply enter the member's Medicaid ID number here, and then you will receive this screen showing the total authorized calories for the member in our system. Continue. And this screen is a little different. This screen shows prior authorizations for the member that were requested and associated with your NPI number. So that gives you the PA number, the number of refills, the number of calories per day, when you requested that, and the earliest that the formula can be reauthorized. Some good information. And the last option, as a prescriber, you will also find this option as a dispenser, as the final option there, is a little bit about Medicaid enteral formula coverage criteria. This shows that the enteral therapy must be an essential component of a treatment plan. We always recommend that providers refer to the DME manual for more detailed information about the criteria. And that concludes what a prescriber can do. And now we'd like to show you how to use it as a dispenser. A dispenser has 4 options on the portal. They can dispense an enteral formula, perform an authorization inquiry, find some information about submitting a paper prior approval request, and get the Medicaid enteral coverage criteria screen. First, we're going to dispense an enteral formula. You'll enter the prior authorization number here that's written on the prescription and hit continue. And then you'll enter the member's client identification number here and hit continue. Now you'll be asked to enter the 4-digit enteral code for the formula that's being dispensed. We ask that you only enter the numbers and you leave off the B and hit continue. And you'll get a regulation reminder that providers should dispense the least costly generically equivalent formula to meet the medical need. And we'll hit continue there. Now, when dispensing a formula, you'll be asked, is the amount sufficient per the written order? And you'll click yes or no and hit continue. Once the authorization has been successful, you'll receive this screen, again confirming that the process was successful, the information entered in our records, and you have the prior authorization to go ahead and dispense the request. You could start over to dispense another formula for another member, or you can log out of the portal. Our next option as a dispenser would be to perform an authorization inquiry. And you'll just enter the Medicaid member's ID number here. And your next screen, you're receiving the information about the member. It gives you the total number of calories per day that have been authorized for the member and the total number of calories per month that have been authorized for the member. And hit continue. And then you receive the screen that is associated with your NPI authorizations. So that will give you more specific details as far as the PA numbers associated with your NPI, the billing codes of the formula, the number of refills, calories per day, and calories per month. And then the earliest that the formula can be reauthorized. And we'll hit continue to look at our third option as a dispenser. When you click on Paper Prior Approval Request, you'll get a little information about how to submit a paper prior approval. Now, you can order these forms by calling eMedNy's 800 number, 800-343-9000. This screen gives you the address of where to send the forms to once they're filled out and you're submitting the form. That's P.O. Box 4600, Rensselaer, New York. And it gives you a little bit about where to sign on the signature fields of the form. And if a prescribing provider has a written order to be used, instead of signing the form, the dispensing provider must write "appears on order" in the signature field. So this is just some information about submitting a paper form instead. And the option of Medicaid enteral coverage criteria, we showed you that screen as a prescriber. It's the same as a dispenser. And now some questions and answers that we think will be helpful. What are the benefits of using the portal for enteral prior authorization? I think there are a lot of benefits. The portal will allow users another option to the IVR. I think it's time-saving and a lot more efficient for everyone in the office. Have any changes been made to the IVR enteral prior authorization number? No, the IVR number stays the same at 866-211-1736. If providers have ePasis, are they already set up to log into the portal? No, the portal is a separate sign-in screen with different credentials. Will paper prior approval request forms still be available? Yes, paper prior approval request forms are still available for use by calling eMedNy to order those forms and submitting to the address on your paper prior approval tab screen. And we wanted to give you some resources that we thought we would just condense onto this page and might be helpful. Again, here is the link, Medicaid Enteral portal.health.ny.gov to get you to the portal. And here is the IVR system number, 866-211-1736. There are some worksheets that Tom previously mentioned. There's the physician's prescriber worksheet and the dispenser worksheet. And those are optional, but they're useful to gather all the information before you go on the portal. And it'll ask you questions about the Medicaid members' height and weight, ID number, date of birth. And it just helps you get all your information in one place before you go ahead with your requests. And then we have the Enteral product classification list, which is a good resource to look at the formulas. Here we have the recording and materials where we will be posting this recording probably next week, so that it'll be a resource for you to go back to and look through. But if you need any other help, of course, we're always available. Call our call center at 1-800-342-3005, option 1, and we'd be happy to help you with questions about how to use the portal or if you're running into any type of snag. We also have an email address here. You can write your questions there, and I promise you'll get a prompt response. And that concludes our demonstration of the functionality of the portal. But we would like to open it up to any questions that everyone has.
Thank you, Michelle. And we're going to use the chat feature. So if you do have a question related to the Enteral prior authorization portal, please go ahead and address that in the chat feature. Tom, Michelle, I will let you review some of those questions so that you can answer those.
Yeah, thanks. This is Tom. So I just want to start off. I know a lot of questions are going to come in about this, so we're going to try to explain it a little more. And I think when we post the slides, we'll try to put a slide in here to give some more information. Back when we're talking about NPIs for portal accounts, those NPIs are going to be the NPI of the person ordering the Enteral, which would be the doctor, the nurse practitioner, or other health professional who can order those on the prescriber side. And on the dispensing side, that NPI is going to be the NPI of the pharmacy or the DME who is going to be dispensing that product. It's not going to be the NPI of the individual pharmacist or the individual or any other person who would have an NPI. So it's going to be the NPI of the organization, the DME, or the pharmacy. Now, I know, as you saw, that we can only have one account per NPI at this time. We do realize that is a limitation, and that offices and pharmacies are going to have to think about ways to manage that. Again, some suggestions that we thought of was having a when you're doing the authentication, having an email that is available to anyone who would be doing the entering the authorization input information, or a cell phone that is available in the office to anyone to use. I don't know if that's a thing or not, but it's going to take a little bit of planning to figure out how offices that have multiple people doing this are going to leverage that. But we do realize that it is a limitation, and as we move forward, we will be looking at ways to try to mitigate that. But at this point, we're going with the situation we have at hand. The other thing that I want to point out about when you get texts from the IVR from us for the multi-factor authentication, it's going to come from the IVR number. That 866 number will be the ones that is sending you the text. So you'll recognize that number. In the chat, we have a few questions that we can answer. One concerns the NYRX transition from managed care. And the question is the dispensing provider required to enter the HCPCS for the product in the portal, or can this information just be submitted on the NCPDP claim and submitted to GDIT, NYRX? So no, you have to go into the portal. The portal is not hooked up to the NCPDP or the e-bending transactions. So you have to do two steps. A pharmacy will have to go into the portal and enter the B code and get the prior authorization number, and then they would go back to their own system and submit a claim to eMedNy for payment. Okay. So the next question was, why is the provider's mobile phone required? What if the provider does not have a mobile phone supported by the health organization and only has a personal phone? Mickey, do you want to take that? I think the answer is that there's an email option for logging in, but you need to have a multi-factor in the first instance.
Yes, when you're registering an account, you have to have a mobile phone number to receive a text. To sign in after an already account is established, you won't need the cell phone option. You can always choose email to receive the code from there on in.
Okay. And Mickey, we have a question. What type of messages are returned if the PA quote request is not approved? Can they go back to screens and provide additional detail that may be required?
Yes, there's a start over button, which is always an option. So you'll know when a process has not been approved, and you can hit that start over and go back to the beginning.
Okay. So the questions, are providers aware of the process change and increase in volume for manual PA portal requests as a result of the transition, the MCO NYRX transition? Will Enteral covered under the MCOs be included in the transition policy? Yes, Enterals are included in the NYRX transition. That is a large project that is going on currently with a start date of April 1st, where pharmacy benefits and supply DME benefits will be transitioned from the managed care organizations to fee-for-service. So for any managed care organization approvals for Enterals in the future after April 1st, they will have to come through the DIRED system and the fee-for-service under the transition. We have a question about where prescribers include the prior authorization on ERX. I think that's up to each individual provider who is accepting an electronic RX. We do not give any guidance on where to put the authorizations. So I would work with your providers to make sure the PA number is coming through in a place that you can find it. Okay, the question is why does this need to be a two-step process? Why can't the Enteral PA portal send the PA number details to GDIT and the and NYRX claim processing system. It's because this is a one-way directional interface, and the interface is only set up for prior approvals, not for billing. So the DIRAD system with the portal and the IVR is only required to send the PA number to eMedNy. It's still up to the provider to bill it. We can't combine those two steps. And does a prior authorization expire if it's not activated by the dispensing provider? We're looking into that. We had that same question yesterday, and it's not clear if it ever expires. I will tell you that it will prevent, if that authorization is not activated, if you try to put another authorization, if a provider, an ordering provider tries to put another authorization into the system and it exceeds caloric limits, it is going to kick it out. It's going to say you already have an authorization. So you have to make sure that if there are prior authorizations that are not being used in the portal, that if they're not activated, you need to delete them. So again, that's on that. You can find that information out when you do an inquiry. If a provider does an inquiry, you'll see all the authorizations for that member that you've done, and you may have to delete some of them. But we'll look at the expiration date on that. I don't know if there is one, which like I said, it does cause problems if you enter, if it's never activated and you try to get another activation, it's going to say, oops, that's not going to happen. Okay, when will the portal link be available, as dispensers will need to set up this link with its closed internet systems for users to access? So as I said earlier, the button is on the eMedNy web page, the front screen. We have a button for ease of finding it in case you don't remember the address. It says coming soon right now. We're hoping that it will go live next week at some point. We will send out a notification to all providers when it does go live. But if you don't see that notification, you can always check the eMedNy home screen. And if that button doesn't say coming soon, I think it was on one of the other screens where right now it says coming soon, Enteral Web Portal. If you see that coming soon is gone, that's an indication that the link is set up and it's ready to be used. And we just haven't gotten the notification out yet. So feel free to give it a try once you see the coming soon go off of the button. Okay, can a dispensing provider access and activate a prior authorization by doing a patient search, or does it have to be provided by the prescribing provider with the prescription? So, Mickey, do you want to answer that question?
Yes. Can any dispensing provider? No, not any dispensing provider, because the dispensing provider would need the prior approval number and that information to be able to activate the PA. A dispensing provider cannot go in and do an inquiry about a member and receive the PA number. You can only receive a PA number if your NPI is associated with it. So you'd have to know the right information to be able to activate.
Yeah, so the dispensing search is only for
Calories.
well, it's only for authorizations that have already been activated. You can't search to find ones to activate. You have to. It only gives you the ones that your NPI has activated. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yes. So what you're trying to do is, you have someone who's presented to the pharmacy, the DME, and says, oh, I have a script for formula and there's no number on it, and you're trying to search to find the number. That you can't do that in the portal. You're either going to have to call, you're going to have to call the provider, the ordering provider, and say, hey, I need that PA number before you can dispense that product, activate the product and dispense it.
Right.
So, we think that this is going to make everybody's experience a little easier. So we're excited that we're on the verge of having this go live. We do have a couple of more training sessions in March. So we'll have the portal go live, and then in March we'll have 2 more trainings for people who may see the portal at that point and say, oh yeah, let me see what they can tell me because I'm having problems with this. Again, if you do have any issues with the portal, the contact information is on the screen. You can email us or call us at the phone number listed. We are available Monday through Friday. This is a non-emergency kind of a system. If you have any more questions, you can enter them into the chat now. I don't know, Mickey, can you think of any other helpful tips that we can relay to people that we've uncovered in our testing?
I really think that this is going to be a big help to everyone. And I want to reiterate that we're going to be available for any questions, or if you hit any snags, we're going to be right there to give you the support that you need.
Yeah.
When you're entering a date of birth, here's another tip. You don't have to worry about how should I enter that date of birth. It should just be 2 for the month, 2 for the date of birth, and 4 for the year. It doesn't matter whether you put a dash in between, whether you put a / in there, if you forget to include those, as long as you have a total of 8 digits in the correct order for the date of birth, it will accept that too. So it's very user-friendly.
So again, we got one more question here about the NYRX. Again, I can't. The system is the way fee-for-service works. For the NYRX physician, it's going to be what it is. I know that people are not happy about that, it seems. But we will look at it in enhancements when we start to look at the enhancements to this system. But I don't anticipate that the system will ever be merged with the claim system. It's never going to be the same as NCPDP, where you can put in information, get an approval, and get a authorization at the same time. So I appreciate you bringing that up as a perceived barrier. But I think it's up to the providers to find a way to work around this. We definitely look at this as an enhancement for most people who are doing enterals. It's definitely an enhancement over everything that we have now with the IVR. So we're working in the right direction. So Scott, I don't see any other questions in the chat, so I guess we can wrap this up, and we thank our partners at GDIT for helping us do this. Without their help, we would not be able to get this going and as smoothly as they have.